Hey, welcome to this episode of Quickfire. Today, we'll share with you our thoughts and impressions on the newest entry into a series that was released back in 1985, where you play as Arthur, a knight on a mission to rescue his damsel in distress in Ghosts and Goblins: Resurrection on the Nintendo Switch. Ghosts and Goblins: Resurrection. Capcom's Ghosts and Goblins series has returned on the Nintendo Switch with reimagining and remixing the elements that made the Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts series beginning in the 1980s 2D action platformer memorable. You make your way through each stage, navigating an endless respawn of enemies and traps and pitfalls, ending each stage with a boss encounter. Despite its very colorful storybook aesthetic that the game evokes, the watercolored backgrounds bringing its world to life, Ghosts and Goblins is anything but child's play, just as its predecessors have all been. Enemies constantly respawn in each area, constantly keeping you on your toes. Even treasure chests are something to be wary about, never knowing if it's going to contain a suit of armor, a weapon, or an evil wizard hiding and waiting to transform you into a defenseless frog. As for the story, there's not much lore. You play as Arthur, trying to rescue his damsel in distress as you navigate diabolical levels with devilishly placed traps and encounters and an interesting gameplay twist that prevents the action from ever feeling stale. With around a 5-hour campaign, once you've completed the main campaign, you gain access to the shadow versions of each stage, rearranging enemy types and adding environmental effects, making the platforming all the more dangerous. Pattern memorization is a key skill to have in this game. With a huge part of the difficulty being Arthur's sluggish, stiff as a board and fixed arc jump movement, and his 4-way directional shooting, you will find throughout 8 different weapon types, from a power hammer for short range, to holy water that splashes on enemies, to fast-firing daggers, each having their own strengths and weaknesses. And with the new inclusion of collecting umbral bees on each stage, you can access the umbral tree and purchase skills and powers, like being able to carry more than one weapon at a time, or turn enemies to stone using Medusa's gaze, expanding Arthur's loadout and becoming a great asset against the evil, constantly clipping at your heels. While Capcom has went to great lengths to introduce new measures to make Ghosts and Goblins more accessible to new and less skilled players not familiar with the older games in the series, adding flexibility after choosing your difficulty from Page, where you respawn from where you died, to Squire, Knight, and the ultimate difficulty, Legend. Resurrection does offer a small bit of mercy. Die one too many times in an area, and you'll be asked if you want to drop the difficulty down for the remainder of that area. Another inclusion in Resurrection is local co-op. Player 2 can choose from 3 spirits named the 3 Wise Guys. Besides being able to fire at enemies, they can make a bridge to help with pitfalls, or offer a temporary shield against projectiles, or carry Arthur away from danger, which can come in hand far too often. Ghosts and Goblins: Resurrection is a rejuvenated take from the old school action platformer days of one of the most memorable game series to date, now allowing you to fine-tune its challenging difficulty level to your individual skill. Within its short but satisfying campaign, it packs a lot of variety and devilish challenges to navigate through, and with the inclusion of the shadow versions of each stage after your first playthrough, and the adding of local co-op, offers a bit of replayability for a solo or multiplayer experience.